I just filled another sketchbook and thought I would give you a sketchbook tour before I put it away on the shelf with all the others. At the end, I will share what kind of sketchbook this is and talk a little bit more about sketchbooks, but right now I'm just going to give you the tour. You can see it started November 28th in Seattle, Washington, and then coming back home again and sketching in and around my area. We do love our art supplies, and sometimes I draw them, especially when I get a new palette. Sketching in the local gardens with friends. On a rainy day, going to the mall. I really kind of enjoyed this because you'll see that the children are in color, but the adults are kind of in black and white. And, you know, it just kind of seemed appropriate for the holidays. To me, it seems more about the children. And here I am in a hotel room. You never know when inspiration might strike. I was teaching a painting workshop. I was glad I had a sketchbook with me. You always want to record these moments. I love vintage supplies, inkwells, dip pens, all those wonderful things. And so I do love to sketch them. And this is more of a illustrated journal right now, going to different places that I grew up as a child, staying in a lovely, beautiful hotel in Ojai Valley, visiting the Tucson desert, and all of the different sites that I saw in that area, different approaches, some of them pen and ink, some pencil and watercolor. This is called a sketch collage, and I love the idea of multiple images that tell a bigger story of a place. It's always a design challenge, and I love to do it. And the final sketch of being there in Tucson and the old homestead. A lot of sketching with Urban Sketchers LA. Bringing in the Chinese New Year, the Year of the Dragon. Had a lot of fun. Going back to the gardens again to catch the first blooms of spring at Descanso. And this is also Descanso and how very different it is from the last page. More of a botanical study here in one of the buildings, and the gardener trimming the vine of old roses. Urban Sketchers again, wonderful farmers markets, lots of people. I don't sketch people enough, so I've been actually spending more time integrating people into my sketches. The area where I live, love this building. I sketch it many, many times. I love to work with just ink, and I don't always put watercolor down. If you have a good drawing, it can hold its own without color. More fresh flowers, the beginning of spring. Architecture around the areas that I live. I enjoy using text boxes instead of writing everything in little tiny corners around, using white in darker passages to write, and then sometimes adding a complete different text box. Playing around with a Fude pen, that was really a lot of fun. Lots of line variety. I like to use sketchbooks to explore new and different materials. And this is again with Urban Sketchers and being down at Travel Town. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about sketchbooks now that I've given you the tour of this sketchbook. And it is called the Hanamule, and it's the 100% cotton. It's approximately 7.5 by 7.5, which makes a wonderful 7.5 by 15-inch spread. I really kind of like the panorama feel of this. And This sketchbook right here is the Etcher Perfect Sketchbook. You'll notice with all my sketchbooks, they have my name on the front, and I'm very careful to also date all of them on the edge. It makes them very easy to reference them on a bookshelf. I also make sure that all my sketchbooks have my contact information. If you ever lose a sketchbook, you'll be lucky to get it back. But if you don't have your contact information, there's no chance it will ever return to you, okay? So this is the Hahnemühle 100% cotton. I am enjoying these books. The price point is very nice. The paper is holding up beautifully. And this one here is called the Etcher Perfect Sketchbook. Comes in the landscape and this portrait format, same kind of paper, and I'm enjoying this sketchbook very much too. Wonderful 140-pound paper. Really, it's holding up very well. I can do a lot of scrubbing, lifting. I mean, it really just handles watercolor beautifully. Love these books. They're holding up wonderful. The neat thing about both of these brands, and I'm talking about different brands right now, is that these are both wonderful. It used to be you couldn't get really good watercolor paper in sketchbooks. Now you can. So there's nothing wrong with going out and spending a little bit of extra money for a very good sketchbook. This is the kind of sketchbook, and you can see here it's number 61. I have used these for more years, just many, many years. And I started making these before I became familiar with both of these brands. I still use them, and why do I? They're ones that I make. I enjoy making my own sketchbooks for the reason that I put an assortment of papers inside. Some of them are toned. Here you can see this is a toned paper also. When you look at it against white, you can see what a huge difference it is. And then I also have 140-pound watercolor paper in here. I like both ways of working in books that I make and the store-bought brands. So this book here is 11 by 10. If you want to make them, you can have them spiral bound at most office supply stores. So just kind of check what's available local. Yeah, really, really wonderful to have paper that I want to work in all the time. I used these long before our companies came out making wonderful sketchbooks with 140-pound paper. This is 140, and it has the Fabrio Artistico paper, and this one has more about 90 weight paper. It's a little bit thinner, but it's holding up beautifully. So Hahnemühle, Etcher, and one I make for myself. So whatever paper you're working in, doesn't really much matter as long as you get out and sketch. So spring's here, get outdoors. Hope you're sketching lots.